We're joined right now by Keith McCullough. He is the CEO of Hedgeye Risk Management. Keith is a former portfolio manager at Carlyle's Blue Wave hedge fund. He is a Bloomberg TV contributing editor. Keith, as always, thanks for joining us. China is saying it is considering pairing its currency with others other than the Hong Kong dollar, the U.S. dollar. I mean, what does this indicate? Is there a change coming?
Yeah, there's definitely a change coming, and Geithner should be careful what he asks for. So now he's asking for a broadening of the debate. He wants to get this to the G20 meetings as opposed to being this mano-a-mano event, China versus him, which is a smart move by him. I think it's probably going to be a successful move. But the output of that move is that they're going to also broaden the basket, and they're going to diversify because they should. Now, China this morning, Deirdre, I'm not sure if you saw this or not, but they just announced that they're going to sell 3-year bonds. That's the first time that they've said that. And again, that's more of the same, which is a preemptive move before they raise rates and revalue the yuan higher.
So the fact that you just mentioned that China should diversify, and it looks like it's taking steps to do so, when do you think they might enlarge this basket, Keith?
Well, they've already, it's like anything else. It's like building a house. They've already poured the foundation. They've started to basically, increase the swap contracts that they have with regional partners, and I'd argue with some of the more dysfunctional countries in the world because they can actually test it with them. But the reality is that this is the way that the world is going. It's not unlike, when the U.S. is trying to become the world's reserve currency. You take step by step, and it's a gradual process, and it's not going to happen, in a crackberry minute. But we're just going towards the inevitable, which is China's going to diversify and increase their trading partners.
Would you say it'll happen before the end of the year?
On what, on the currency front?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think that we're probably within 3 months, actually, of the first move on Chinese Yuan Revaluation. And I do think that announcing selling 3-year bonds this morning in China is an explicit signal on that side.
Last question here on China, Keith, before we get to the euro. Do you think this means that China just doesn't want to be as invested as it currently is in the U.S.? Is that a deduction?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's obvious. Would you be, Deirdre? I mean, at the end of the day, you sit here and you look at this for what it is, and you see Geithner, talking about China welcoming to the world. I mean, USA, welcome to reality. All the things that we've done for the last 2 years actually matter from a credibility perspective. And China, absolutely, if they have this, $900 billion Treasury position, it's in their best interest to diversify away from that.
All right, Keith, I do want to get to euro. I mean, we saw Greek bonds plummet yesterday. We know that Greece is meant to be coming on a roadshow in the U.S. I want to know, I mean, are they going to get a better response from U.S. investors? I mean, a lot of their current investors have already lost money.
Yeah, I mean, the best way to be unsuccessful on a roadshow is to lose people money. So, when it comes to the U.S., we're going to be, telling them exactly what's happening right now. This morning, actually, the Greek stock market's down another 1.6%. That puts it down 8% for the year to date. But more importantly, and to your point, 10-year yields are the highest that they've been since early February, and it started to happen then. So access to capital globally is tightening, and the cost of capital is obviously heightening. And the last thing, that people want to put into their portfolios probably right here and now is some Greek bonds.
What do you make of this speculation that Greece doesn't want to deal with the IMF anymore, they'd rather deal with the EU? I don't know if that's a choice for them. The Greek government has refuted that comment, but it's still out there.
Well, it's definitely out there, and there's a lot of new things out there on top of that. So you have the UK election coming up, and then after that you have the German election. Both of those, citizenries, if you will, are basically, not in the political camp to participate in this big EU bailout. So you're back and forth between a couple elections. The Russians are trying to sell bonds. Their first time selling bonds since 1998. That's an ominous point in and of itself. So there's a lot of different moving parts here, and I think that the IMF versus the EU or a combination of the two, we're not going to get any kind of resolution on that for a long, long time, and I think that that's going to be a very big news story as we go through the next 3 to 6 months.
Keith, thank you as always. Good to talk to you. Keith McCullough, CEO of Hedgeye Risk Management.